Hi and welcome to Mind 123. My name is Joanna Rushton and today I have the pleasure of speaking with orthopedic surgeon Dr. Doron Scher. We are talking about nutrition, but in particular we're going to be covering the subject of ketogenic dieting. Dr. Doron, welcome back. Wonderful to have you here. And today we're going to be talking about a particular blood test or a particular glucose tolerance test.
Yes.
Its relevance and what it's telling us. So please share with us.
So insulin is a very important hormone for muscle building and for general body building. But if we get too much insulin, insulin becomes a fat storage hormone. So for glucose to get into the cell, it needs something called a GLUT4 transporter because it can't cross a cell wall. Insulin opens that cell wall key, if you like, to get the glucose in. Now, if you have too much glucose all of the time, which is basically what we do, eating chocolates, lollies, but even things like breakfast cereals and pastas and bread, which all have lots of added sugar, our insulin levels are high all of the time. And insulin works at the muscle level, at the liver level, and at the fat cell level. But after a while, the muscle and the liver kind of go, hang on, we've got too much glucose. And so for one insulin, they don't accept one glucose anymore. Now you need a second or a third insulin to get the glucose into the cell. So the pancreas sees that there's blood sugar in the blood, says, oh, I don't like this, and starts to pump out more insulin. So now you've got the same amount of glucose going into your muscle or your liver, but the fat doesn't become insulin resistant. So what happens is all that insulin, which is driving the glucose out of the blood, gets driven into the fat. Now, why does the body get rid of the glucose? Because glucose binds irreversibly to protein. And eventually, when the glucose binds to the protein, it forms something called glycation end products, or AGEs. And these are the things that cause damage and inflammation in the body, like glaucoma or disc disease and just general damage. So the body doesn't want to make these. So what it does is drives the glucose out of the cell and out of the blood. And one of the ways we can test this in diabetics is a test called the HbA1c, which measures your average glucose in your red blood cell over about 30 days. And it tells us whether your blood sugar control has been good or not. So if we just test glucose without testing insulin, the insulin may be pumping crazily away, keeping our blood sugar level the same, and we would never know that it's starting to become a problem. So a standard glucose tolerance test, you drink 75 grams of glucose, and then at 1 hour and 2 hours you test your blood sugar. But you may be crazily pumping away the insulin and not know that your blood sugar is staying level because of the high insulin. If you do insulin levels at that 1 and 2 hour point, you can see 15 years before the person becomes a diabetic that there's a problem developing because their insulin starts to rise even though their blood glucose stays the same.
So what I'm hearing here is that this test is an amazing preventative in terms of you're catching the markers before they're perhaps turning into an even greater chronic problem.
Yes, because by the time your blood sugar goes up, it's too late. You are already a diabetic.
Yep.
We want to catch you before that point and prevent you from ever becoming a diabetic. And that's why this test is so important.
Dr. Doron, thank you so much for sharing that information about a very valuable test that can really help somebody manage their health and well-being moving forward.
Thank you.